teaching you how to Japada in style.
Hey. Finally, we are here. Oh my God. Finally. I feel like an applause.
The Japada pod is live for the very first time. Wow. And what a day to go live. Mother's Day of all days.
Yes, memorable one. Yes. Oh
Well,
my
happy
God.
Mother's Day.
Thank you.
And it's so fitting because it's a mother-daughter podcast. Very
Yes,
fitting.
isn't it? Isn't
Almost behind it.
Yeah, and happy Mother's Day to all mothers over there from wherever you are joining us from. Canada, wherever it is. Let us also know in the comment section if you are joining us live, wherever. Let us know. Let us
Yes,
know where.
please. Happy Mother's Day to you. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers intending, existing, whether with the title or not. People that have lost their mothers as well. That's something that Tommy Cares brought into the front of our mind. That those people also should have a special place in our hearts on Mother's Day. So happy birthday to mothers and all ramifications. And thank you for all you do.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's such a honor to, at least worldwide to set aside a day or a Sunday, especially, just to acknowledge the efforts, they acknowledge the love, the sacrifice, the great works that
Mothers do.
yes, women do through mothering, because it's not just those that actually gave birth to us, especially for those of us that came from or that are from Africa. It takes a village to actually raise a child. In Africa, it's not just one person, so many people, because I'm sure you should be able to testify to that fact that it's not just one person, you know yes, there's a main person, but we have other people, other voices that are helping to shape as well. So it's such a
Absolutely.
it's such a great delight to have a day to celebrate.
You deserve it and more.
Na, na,
Sorry.
na, na,
Your
na.
Mother's Day, your Mother's Day will soon be crowned. Is all I will say.
Oh,
So,
okay. I'm still, I'm waiting for that crown,
over until it's
for the
over.
icing on the cake.
Yes, so
Because
maybe you'll come back and tell them what your crown was.
I will. Maybe the next live stream, please remind me that
Okay.
I need to tell them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you already know who we are, but for the sake of introduction, for the sake of formalities, my name is Mololuwa, and I'm joined by my mother. Hi, mother.
Hi, doctor. My name is Atinuke, and today we are not in the same place, and hence the live stream.
Indeed, indeed. And you know what we do over here? We turn Jakba into Jakbada, and we do it in style. So
Yeah.
thank you for joining us, albeit in a very different format. We are still grateful to have you guys join us. So today we're going to jump right into it and try and maximize the time we have because, like I said, it's Mother's Day, so we know you may all still be in the spirit of
I'm sure
celebration.
a lot of
Let's not disrupt your festivities for too long, but let's make it worthwhile whilst you're with us and whilst
Mm,
we get to spend time with you. So please do, if you're watching live, please do drop a comment and
please
say
do.
hello to this mother, to
Yes.
your favorite, not this, your favorite mother daughter duo,
Mm,
the first mother daughter podcast.
Hoo, 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 hoo.
Job.
Yes.
Right. Okay, we're going to go straight right into it. We have some dilemmas that we are going to discuss and
Hey.
want to have all input into the dilemmas. We want your comments, your contributions, your thoughts, your opinions, as
Mm,
well as us. Okay, so I'm going to read the first one out. And it says, Dear Japada, I'm a 29-year-old returnee planning my wedding in Ghana, and my mom and I are completely clashing. My
mm,
fiance and I want a small luxury but eco-friendly wedding, about 50 guests max, because we hate waste and don't see the point of feeding a hall full of people we don't actually have a relationship with. We want something intimate, meaningful, and sustainable, not just big for big's sake. Here's the
mhm,
complication. We and our parents are contributing financially to the wedding. In fact, the parents have offered to cover a huge portion of it. But even if they decided to pay for the entire wedding, I still don't want a massive event filled with people I don't care about and may never see again. For me, it's not about who pays, it's about the kind of day I want to remember. My mom is inspired by the idea of a 50-person guest list. She has already told church members, family, friends, and community people that they're invited. In her mind, a big wedding is about honoring everyone who raised me and maintaining social bonds. She says a small guest list will embarrass her and make it look like we are proud or stingy. On top of that, I'm seriously considering cutting down the full traditional wedding ceremony so we can save money to invest in a business I want to start. Is it wrong to insist on a small, eco-conscious wedding and possibly a reduced traditional ceremony? Can I say no to a big community wedding without disrespecting my parents and my culture? Or am I being selfish and ungrateful? It's quite a good one for Mother's Day, in fact. It again seems very fitting because the mum mentioned the point about all these people that have raised her and how it is only right for them to be in attendance at her wedding. As a mother, what do you think?
mm. Wow. Wow. Anyway, for this dilemma is really about it's like it's like starting a family meeting, to be honest. In the comment section, which I hope that people will join, you know. When this 29-year-old, you said, returnee, is planning her wedding in Ghana. She wants a small, luxury, eco-friendly wedding of about 50 people in Africa. That's Ghana is in Africa, right? And what she's now saying is that she does not want to feed a hall of people that she does not really know. And the mom is saying, Tofiaka, like my Igbo people will say, if you do a 50, if you do a 50 man wedding, it's like you are disgracing me. That's how it is to the mom. Um and her question is, it's funny, right? I don't know. It's funny somehow, this question. Our question is, should my mother be able to insist that I have a big wedding because of, okay, first of all, you said, let me throw in the perspective of the mother's perfect perspective. Diaspora kids or diaspora returnee or people that have been exposed to the West, I think sometimes miss something. And what they're missing is the fact that, yes, they have grown of spent maybe significant part of their lives in the West. And the West has this individualistic culture. I'm not invalidating what she's saying or what she's feeling, but at the same time, the mother's expectation too, I don't think should be put aside as if it does not matter, because it does matter. It does matter. What I'm trying to just say here is that the mother's perspective is about African culture. African culture is the culture of I bring forth a child, but everybody, the neighbor, that family, that church community, that extended family community, everybody actually contributes in raising a child. So I think from the perspective of that mother, especially as an African mother, the way we see that day, we don't see it as just one person's day, or the day that it's for just the bride and the groom, which is the typical way that the Western culture would see it, because of the individualistic culture that they have. We have a communal culture. And because of that communal culture that we even raise our children communally. So one person cannot say there's an aunt that has contributed something. There's a neighbor that has contributed something. So for the African parent, or this African mother, it's like we are using that day to acknowledge all of you. That is what it means. Yes, to the bride, it is like, I don't know this bunch of people. Yes, you don't know them, but they have contributed something on your way, on when you were growing up. That's the way the mother or the parent sees it. And for those church members that your mom might invited, they may have prayed for you. You don't know. They might have helped your parents in parenting you. You don't know. They might have supported your family for years in different things that are unknown to you. And that's why the African community acknowledges everybody's contribution. And that's a way of showing that, okay, yes, all of us. Sometimes you see somebody, you see even a couple, or even you as a child, you get somebody and your mom is telling you, oh, you don't remember auntie XYZ. Oh, when you used to go to this and this school, she's the one that used to take you and drop you. You forgotten. Of course you have forgotten. Of course you have forgotten. So for them, or for the African person, it's like, they must be at your wedding. They must be at your wedding. So to you, you're like, I think it's a conflict of culture that is coming into play here. When you have been exposed to the individualistic culture, I'm not saying that is wrong on its own, but it has its merits and also its cons as well. The communal one too has its merits and the demerits as well. But because there's a conflict of that, because that child, I'm just still speaking, I'm not considering the financial or the economic perspective now. I'm still speaking as from the perspective of that African mom. So in many African communities, a big wedding, or even what you call it, might not be a big, for 50, 200 is a big wedding. 200 people, 200 guests. If it's a big wedding for somebody that wants a 51. It's also a way for parents to say thank you to the people that have supported them on the way. That's what I can just explain that woman's angle. Yeah.
But of all days to choose to do that, nothing wrong with it. It's a noble thing to do. Of all days to choose to do that, does it have to be the one day that there is the day that there's only one of in your life? Your wedding
Because
day is the only
because
day that your only wedding day you hope to have. And so it's a day
um,
to look.
it doesn't have to be your wedding day, but let's be practical. Let's be factual here. Apart from your wedding day, what event will, could a child have that that's before wedding or after wedding that you need to have big people, big crowd? I don't think there's any other one apart
But
from the wedding.
I'm just
I don't
saying
think there's any
because
other one. Give
there's
me an example of another event that they could use as an opportunity to bring everybody together and say yes. To be honest, I can't see.
a landmark birthday. is one,
Whose
as in
birthday?
a landmark birthday.
Of who?
Or
The child of the parent. It has to be of the child. We're talking about people that have contributed to the
either,
child's.
because whoever contributed to the child is likely to be in the parent's life as well. If they still deem them so important that they must invite them. So
No, are you talking about the? Are you talking about the the child's birthday?
it could be
Let's say this
either the
right.
child or the parents.
For the
It's
parents, it's not likely to be everybody. It's not
appreciate them
likely to
and
be
to acknowledge
everybody.
them. So
It's not
you can
likely to.
acknowledge them you can encourage them at your event. It doesn't either way, they're there for you, really. Like the kid doesn't really, you know, it's the parent that considers it like, oh, it is my honor to host you and
I
to thank
understand the bride's perspective. Honestly, a lot of young people will agree with her, and I guess that's why you are tilting that way, right? A lot of young people are likely not well. Let me say a lot of some young people, because there's a lot of young people that also want the big and flamboyant ones too. But let's say a
I think
significant
even if
number.
it's going to be big, I think it should be big with the people you want. I don't think for me, I'm particular on small wedding, big wedding. It's not the size, it's the content, it's the quality of the people. Do you look around the room and think, oh wow, these are people that I feel are my people? Or do you look around the room and think, oh, who's that? I don't think you want that on your wedding day.
That's why I'm saying most of the time, let me tell you, most of the time, this particular dilemma that we are looking at, I think most of the time it is because this is especially because this person is a returnee. If this person has lived all her life in Africa, in Ghana, she might not feel that way. She might feel some way about if they turn it into a carnival that she's not going to, but she's not likely to make it look like the way it has been presented. She won't feel that way. And that's why I'm attributing it to the fact that when you have been in a culture that is individualistic in the West, it makes sometimes the communal culture thing look like it is burdensome. I'm not saying both does not have the pros and the cons. And because of that, because in the West, three people can just go and get married and they're good. Because there's no communal raising of any child here. There's no village raising of any child. No, it's nobody's business here. But that is not the way it is in Africa.
So I heard one, who was it that was saying this? Oh, I think he might have been on a podcast by Tosi and Daniel Etim Effiong. And I heard her make a suggestion that I never heard before. And I thought this might be a good one for parents, especially African parents, who want a certain crowd to be present at wedding celebrations. She was like, oh, that she'd actually heard from somewhere that what these parents did, with the kids to accommodate the way that the kids wanted the wedding to go was to do a Thanksgiving after the wedding, and they made the Thanksgiving like a whole thing. So
Yeah,
it was a whole
to be honest with you, I don't, yes, I like that perspective and I like that solution. We'll still get to that solution, but it's just good for people to understand the thinking of the different parties here, right? That's why we are just trying to look at, we'll definitely get to the point where we are going to look at that, because from the dilemma that you read to us, it appears the parents are contributing significantly.
to the
That's
wedding
really happy.
financially.
Yeah. And I'm sure because when you compare and contrast, when you compare it to the Western culture wedding, it's the bride and the groom.
Yeah.
So that's why they make the decision. But in
Mm.
Africa, you're not left to do this. So, and that's why they can make the decision that, oh, okay, what I have is only for 5 people. And because it is an individualistic culture, even the parents and the people around will not say, oh, no, let's have more, we can contribute. It is not their culture. They don't contribute. It's your wedding. Whatever you decide, they help you. They just support you with whatever. Okay, if it is 2 people, that's fine. send the card to you, we wish you congratulations. But over there, it's not like that. And I'm
But I
happy that
still
I highlight.
think that even though the parents are contributing financially to the wedding, surely of all other things, it should be your joy to make your child on their
I agree with you
life
hundred
if they're
percent.
going to do this
And
happy.
I agree with you 100%. It should not be my contribution as a parent should not be a tool of control. A tool of control. But however, what I'm saying is that compromise is what is needed here because either parties they are valid and the real issue is not actually isn't actually the guest list, is the fact that the two of them are operating from two different worlds. I think that's
Yeah.
the real, yeah. I think that's the real. That's and there are cultural clashes here. The daughter is thinking the wedding is about me and my partner. That's how she's thinking. The
Mm.
mother is thinking this wedding is about the family and the community. Because don't forget, this is the time that most of the time, especially for us in Africa, we get to know each other. We want to know all members of your family. Here, in the West, they don't need to know any member of their family. They don't need to.
The partners,
Yeah,
they
just
get
the partner.
the members of the other partner's family is what you mean.
Yeah, the two families. I'm talking about the two families. It's not
Yeah.
compulsory here. If it comes, fine, but it's not something that's compulsory. But in Africa, it's a big deal. It's a
I
big
know what
deal.
you're saying. Like you said, maybe compromise is best, but I do think that each party needs to really, really consider, and ultimately, honestly, I think the parents need to consider and understand, acknowledge that this is not their wedding, it's their child's wedding. And don't try and live
Make it
vicariously through your
yours.
child. Yeah, it's not
Mm,
yours. You know,
mm,
it's a choice for you to contribute financially, and I'm sure they're grateful for your choice to do
mm.
so. But it's not your wedding. I think on the side of the child, I would say I sympathize, and I would suggest that
Father, or what do you mean when you say father? What do you
I
mean
said
by father?
the side of the daughter.
Oh, okay.
What did I say? I think I said on the side of the daughter
Okay.
that I sympathize. I would say that compromise is probably required. To be honest, you're going to have to let some things run because yeah, like they're your parents. Ultimately, there's also the part of as Africans, your wedding day is your family's day of joy as well as yours, and your
Mm,
parents are a big part of that if they've raised you in a way that is worth
mm,
celebrating.
mm.
And yeah, I think you should compromise. Now, for example, compromise can look like instead of 50 people, you might compromise to, I don't know what the number your parent wants it to
Yes.
be, but
Mm,
let's say 200. You might reach a
mm,
compromise and say, okay, how about 100? And see how you can take it. I hope that the other side, though, doesn't just insist and say, no, this is my the first wedding we're doing, or no, you're my child. This is like that's when it starts getting difficult, and that's when people start digging their heels in because it's now like
mm.
you're forcing me to do something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. Mm,
So I hope both sides can be understanding enough. Now the part about not doing the traditional wedding in the fullness of it. So
mm,
Alema also mentioned wanting to do a reduced traditional ceremony
mm-hmm.
because they want to put the money elsewhere. I mean, the
That,
parent could also say,
that
"Don't
makes
worry,
sense for me. That
I'll
makes
pay for
sense for
it."
me.
But it depends on, some also some people, especially if they're returnees, they might not be so deeply connected to the African culture.
Culture. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But
Whether
that's
that's
also an
something
avenue for you to learn. You don't want to be the way
depends. It depends whether they
it's the
want to
way.
learn. It's not by force.
No, but the thing is that it's the way when you were living in the West, you didn't come and say, "Oh, from where I'm coming, this is how they do it." You learned the culture.
Yeah,
You
but it's your
lived the
wedding.
culture. Sorry?
Yeah, but it's your wedding day. No matter
Yeah,
how the culture says this is
even
my wedding day, so this is how I want to do it.
but that's what I'm saying. It's still the thinking of individualistic thinking. That's what is making you think. And we are saying that in the African context, that is not how when you take communality out of African, you have lost the culture of Africa. And
Okay.
I am saying, okay, let's say, for instance, let's flip the script. Let's flip the script. Let's say we have two Caucasians that came to Africa in Ghana and they decide they want to get married.
Yep.
Do you think they are going to get married the African way? No, they are not.
Mm.
It's what they are used to in the West. That is what is still going to prevail. So why is it that we are very quick? I'm not saying it's going to be easy for that person, especially if she has lived most of her life abroad. Why is it that we are now very quick? For them, they don't care. Even if they lived most of their lives in Africa, when they want to do those things, they will still do their own way. They can infuse yours. And most of the time, when they infuse the African culture, we are superly excited about it. But we are not asking them to dump theirs. So why is it that when it is ours, we are quick to say, no, no now. No now. This is about culture. And the compromise, the one that you were trying to say, you said the other time that you said, Toyosi mentioned about Thanksgiving. It's a great that I believe in. The fact that you are co-funding or even sole funding the wedding does not mean that you control. You need to, it's the day of this to the bride and the partner. You need to take their feelings and whatever they want into consideration. But the thing is that from the other part too, they also need to take the feelings of their parents into consideration, how they are thinking, the logic behind and the context behind their thinking, so that we don't need to be at logger. It can be a win-win. We just need to move from the two angles. So let's now look at the possible solutions. You mentioned one that time, and which was the parents can organize. They can have a Thanksgiving.
Yes, I know another one that people do. I don't see it too many times, but I've seen it a few times, which is Mother's Day or Mother's Night, sorry, with
Okay,
mothers that want to, again, that's a form of recognizing maybe people that you think have contributed to the child's life and raising the child.
and
That's
that's gender based though. What happens to all the uncles and all the other
yeah,
daddies and all
I'm
that?
just it's just another option of
That's
another.
another option. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's one. And even these days, we have, especially, it's not just the returning diaspora. We have people that are having two-part wedding now. Two-part wedding of one. She wants an intimate wedding. It will not be nice for her to remember that day, and she's thinking, I never had the wedding of my dream, which is that intimate one with only the people that I know. Nothing wrong with it. They can have it for that 50 people. There can be an intimate ceremony that is just the way the couple wants it. And we now have a part two. That part two is the one that you're saying, somebody said maybe Thanksgiving, that the parents now say, oh, we are having a Thanksgiving. After that, they now have a big party. Fine. That even the couple might be the guest even at that party. And that even though the party is about it's
Because
about
of
them.
them.
That's
I don't
that's
know. I feel like we have too much stress as Africans sometimes.
that's an option. At least that makes the family happy. And maybe that's their own way of making an announcement that this wedding, that we have had this wedding, and that's fine. But there's also another one. You have that 50 intimate wedding. Some people will have destination wedding,
Yeah.
so that they can have that intimate one. They will have the big, maybe traditional one. Okay, invite all the village, and especially if the parents are even happy to, for
Fun.
me, that decision, bankroll it, yes,
Yeah.
because it will not be a fair expectation for you
To
to want
want
to have a big
bring
wedding
guests or not
and
put your money where your mouth is. Yes.
exactly. So if you want to have people, make sure your money is there,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that might make sense. And the couple can have a destination wedding or any intimate wedding, whatever it says. But yeah, the couple can get their dream
Sometimes it
wedding.
just feels like it's complicated to be African
It's
because
not.
it's just like,
It's
why do
not.
we have
We are
to
the ones.
go
We
through
are the ones that we make
all
it
these
complicated. That's why.
negotiations? I want to get married.
No, that's why I said we make it complicated. When we flip the coin, when the Caucasians that come to Africa and they get married, they don't go through all this complication. They still stick to what they know, which is their culture. We are the ones that we complicate these things. And there's nothing there's nothing wrong with the intimate wedding, even if you're an African, even if you have not been exposed to any individual, maybe as a result of economic reasons. I don't believe in anybody going into debt because you want to have a party.
Yeah.
That is stupid. That is crazy. No, I don't believe in that. You are not going to satisfy a community and the
At your
marriage has
expense.
or
Yeah.
yes and no, 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 no. For me, no. And
Mm.
I've heard a case of a couple that went to get married and they spent so much. The siblings of the bride, they came in, this community effort, they spent so much. Meanwhile, the guy did not have a job. I'm like, why are we spending so much? Why
Mm.
must we even do the
And yeah,
when
it's the same as where you say that the bride side might be like, I know this is our daughter. Like so many people have gone into raising her, but it doesn't
yes,
matter
but
what
you
your
wait
side is
until
doing.
our son, if that guy is my son, for instance, you wait until he has a job. You guys might have all the money too. It does not make sense. And I remember, I think my friend that was telling me this, she said she was telling the one of the siblings that happens to be somebody that she knows, that the money that you guys are using to throw this party, you are going to Austria to get lace, you're going to do, why not give it to this guy to set up his life? Because this guy is getting married to your sister.
Yeah, but still to the point that you raised, giving him the money to set up his life does not satisfy tradition. It
No,
doesn't. It
no,
doesn't have you
what I'm trying
acknowledge
to say there is
people. It
that
doesn't
they don't
be
have to, because it was just done in such a huge magnitude. So they don't have to do that.
It depends
They
on
can
who's in their lives. If it's so big, it's probably because their networks are vast. There's so
anyway.
many people that they consider like, oh, this person can't not be there. We all have
Mm,
different sides of networks based on the paths of life that we walked.
that's true.
And they might have walked paths that require a mega wedding,
Mm.
you know?
Well,
So
if they don't mind what comes afterwards, because for me, wedding is just one day. Marriage is from that day.
yeah.
Wedding is just that date, but marriage starts from that. Anything that is not going to negatively impact on the marriage, I'm for it. But if it's going to impact in any shape or form, no matter what the culture is, you need to have a look at it. Culture, there are do's and don'ts that were made for people. People were not made for those things. You need to review it. You just need to, for in that instance, you need to look at the practicality and the reality of your situation. That's the way I. Anyway, so let's just, at least for this one, let's just kind of put the final um verdict on this particular one. The final verdict is that the bride to be, is not selfish, even though she's looking at this situation from only her lens and her partner's lens. That does not make her selfish, because she's looking out for herself and for her future. It's going to be just her and the partner that are going to be in the boat. And at the same time, the mom is not unreasonable. The mom is not unreasonable with her cultural expectation or her expectation of more than 50 people. The situation, I would say, requires compromise from both sides, and both sides of individualism and community culture to shift a little bit so that they come to the goal should be to create a wedding that respects the couple's value. because if those are that have their values, we need to acknowledge it, we need to respect it, and at the same time honoring the family values. So a compromise is what is likely to be here. So, but let's have the Japada family, anyone that is watching, let them join in this conversation. And we are putting something on the comment section. It's like a kind of proposal. We are asking the Japada family, if you were in this situation, what would you choose? A small 50-piece person wedding exactly how you want it. B, a big community wedding to honor your parents. Or C, a compromise with two celebrations.
Okay.
Let's keep the
You
conversation going. Yeah.
want to read the next dilemma?
Yes, 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 yes. Let's also keep our eyes on any comment if there's anyone that we need to actually bring up.
Yep.
Yeah. So you want to do the next one, right?
Yeah.
Before you do the next one,
Yeah. I wanted to ask you to subscribe, please. Please, could you subscribe? Please, could you like? Could you comment? Could you leave us a 5-star rating if you're listening? Could you share the video as well? Would that be okay? Yeah? Can you do that for me? Thank you so much. Continue to enjoy the rest of the video.
You get Mololo in two places.
oh
I love
yes,
that before.
that's what the live stream gives to our family members. Yeah.
The gift that keeps on giving. Okay, the next
Mhm.
one. Do you want to take that one?
Do I? Okay, let me.
I can take it if you don't want to.
No, I'm happy to. It's just that I didn't. I'm just trying to. Let me just see. Yeah. So that we don't keep people waiting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I have the second one here.
Okay.
Okay. Dear Japada, I'm a new grandmother in my. Oh, I see the reason why you're asking me to
Yeah,
to,
it sounds more realistic from your voice.
to take this one. Okay. I'm a new grandmother in my 60s, and I'm writing this with a lot of emotions. My son and his wife just had a baby. I was overjoyed, and long before the birth, I had prayed and chosen a beautiful Nigerian name with deep meaning from our language and family history. In my mind, that was my grandchild's real name. When they filled the birth certificate, I was shocked and honestly hurt. The baby has English first names and middle name. The name was not included anywhere. They told me, Mommy, we will still use your name at home, but for documents, it's easier this way. Since then, I have refused to call the baby by the English names. I only use the Nigerian name I gave, and they say I'm being difficult. I feel as if our culture is slowly being erased, starting from something as basic as a child's name. For me, a name carries identity, ancestors, and blessing. But to them, it feels like it's about what is easier for school and work. I'm angry, hurt, and also scared that if I don't fight for this, my grandchildren will grow up with no real connection to where they come from. Am I wrong for insisting on calling my grandchild by the African name I chose, even though it's not on the birth certificate? Should I accept their decision and just be grateful? Or is this a battle worth standing my ground on for the sake of culture and identity? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
First ever to grandma. The first
Whoa,
grandma to ever
whoa,
grandma.
whoa, whoa,
Because your own is plenty, ma. It's
whoa,
plenty.
whoa, whoa. Hey, so
This one is the chairman of Grandma
it's,
Association. Oh.
she is. And but you know, legally, a grandparent has a right as well. They have their
Yeah,
rights.
they can get parental, what's it called now in the law? Yeah, they can
Yeah.
get rights of parents. I forget what they're called.
So it's good for us to put that out there, because some people, especially the younger generation, can be quick to say, "Oh, it's my child." Even legally, the grandparents have some
No,
rights.
they don't have.
I
They
don't
can.
know.
They
I
can
don't
gain.
know whether it is this one. I'm just saying that legally,
Yeah.
people should not just think because you are because that person is a grandparent, the person, he or she does not have certain, is it all right? I don't know whether we call rights or privileges, something that legally I know is upheld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to. I feel like I'm being very predictable in my answer, but okay, let me say that
Why
as
would you say
somebody
that?
whose name is Mololua, I appreciate, of course,
Mm,
cultural names.
mm,
I've grown to appreciate cultural names. Let me put it that way, actually, because as a child, I
yeah.
didn't.
Mm,
As a grown up, I do. And I very much, I was having this conversation with a couple of my friends actually, because I was saying it's millennial Gen Z parents, the names that children are given. I was saying Nasoso Jaden, highest Tiarolua. That Tiarolua, every baby born between like 2018 and 2023 is called Tiarolua because it was
mm.
unique at first. It was like a unique Yoruba name that kind of like was cute because it could be English. It called the kid Tiara for sure. And all of a sudden, everyone was naming their kid Tiarolua, and it's just like, okay. But Jaden, all these Jaden, all the like so many kids we got Zoe, Olua, Shei. Like the way that contrast is just wild. But I say this to say that there are a lot of millennial Gen Z parents that I do think personally have lost the touch of culture and I think
But they are including, there is Zoe, there's Olua something
because
from
that would be the surname.
without.
I'm just saying. I said that would be the surname. I was using that as an example of,
Okay.
and I think there is as Africans and actually as humans, a
Mm,
name is identity, and there is something to be said for having your culture as part of your identity.
mm,
Now, I think millennial Gen Z are losing the art of retaining cultural identity. And
mm.
no matter how much people want to say, oh, it's just a name, it doesn't matter. The truth is, it does. There's no one that will name their kid any random thing remote just because they can see it, because it matters, because that's what the kid is going to be called the rest of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, obviously, it matters because you would have sat down, even if it's flowers that matters to you, you would have sat down to find the best flower or the flower you like the most to name your kid. So it matters. So I think millennial Gen Z, especially,
Yeah.
which is, I believe, probably the demographic that grandma is complaining about in this dilemma,
Yeah.
have lost the art. And there are certain people that when I do see them name their children with cultured first names, especially when it's the first name, because a lot of people, what they do is they give the kid the middle name as the cultured name because maybe that's their home name. Nobody will call
Yes.
them that as blah, blah, blah. But when I
Yeah.
see millennial Gen Z use cultured names as first names, to me, it speaks volumes already.
What volume is that speaking? What volume is that speaking?
For
Because
me,
yeah.
I think, oh, that's my kind of person. I
Oh,
just think this is somebody. No. As in, that's not.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think, oh, this is somebody that's securing their cultural identity. I think
Okay.
this is somebody that doesn't feel the need to call their
To
kid
feed
an
into.
English name to feel like, oh, me too. I'm, you know, do you know what I
Okay.
mean? I just feel like this is someone that's
I
quite
got you.
secure
I got you.
in their
Yeah.
cultural identity,
Yeah.
and I respect that. But that's probably because my name is Mololua and I've had to come to this position because I can't change my name. Well, I can now, but I wouldn't now. I couldn't change my name for the longest time. So
But
maybe
why wouldn't you now? Since there was a time that you felt, oh, why wouldn't you now? Because you can now. Why
I
wouldn't
can
you? What's the real
I've grown
reason?
into it. I've grown into it. I've grown to appreciate cultural identity, my cultural identity. And I've grown to realize that I'm somebody that you can't separate her culture from.
But do
I've
you know
grown.
there are some people that have hated themselves because of these names?
I agree, and that's why I'm saying that it's very personal. I cannot completely understand it because I've gone through that phase where it's been difficult, where you're in school and it's proving a hurdle. The first thing that somebody hears about you is your name, usually, and people are stuttering, people are laughing, people are butchering your name. I can understand how difficult it can be, and I'm not invalidating that at all. But I'm just saying the kind of person I am, I left my job in the UK to go and do NYC. I'm
Yes.
not the average British Nigerian. So I can appreciate that. It's not a sentiment that everybody will agree with. But for me, I'm somebody that personally, when I hear your, not just, well, my name is Yoruba, but, cultured first names, I really appreciate that. We're not losing that as the generations roll by. Because I think that it's very, very, very likely that African culture goes extinct if my generation, the generation that comes after me, doesn't do something about it right now, especially all of us in the diaspora, and especially as all of us have Japa. Like, it's like there's nobody left in Nigeria again except the rich, except the 1%, because it's only the people that are flexing that we see.
But funny enough, the rich are also sending their children abroad. Don't forget. They are
That's what I'm
living
saying. So
abroad.
even as we're all Japa, it's even more important now than ever that we try and retain some level of link to where we are from if we don't live there anymore. So for me, names that I've heard that I've really loved, there are two names that I've heard recently. And I used to have a list of names that I heard that, I'll use for my children, but I realized that won't happen anymore because I'm probably going to name my children based on the circumstances around their birth, which, for example, was the way I was named. And I think the most unique names are the ones that are tailor-made for the child. But anyway, like examples of names that I've heard, and let me know what you think about these names. But examples of names I've heard that I really like are Oluwakamiku. That was a recent Gen Z parent. She's maybe a couple of years older than me. And I just thought it was the most beautiful name. I've never heard it before. And
I've never
it
heard
was
that
so
name.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And the second one that I heard that I really liked was Moni Lola. And this one, anyone that's on TikTok should know this family. Uncle Femi.
Oh, family Osho, the Osho family.
Yeah. Anyone that's on TikTok should know them.
Yes.
I thought her name was so beautiful. I never heard it
Yes,
before.
her name is so beautiful, so beautiful.
You
And your
know?
name too, you're not very common as well. Mololua. It's not very.
No,
It's not
very
at all.
common.
Yeah.
So that's my take. I appreciate it, but I also think grandma, like, you had the time to name your own kids. Like, you've named your kids. Let other people name their kids. You know what I mean?
You think grandma is not. You don't think you are not feeling her sentiments or her emotions. I mean, the grandma. You are not
I get
feeling
it, but
you.
I think she's taking it a bit far, personally.
Well, it's strange.
With
It's
grandma
strange.
to be,
It's strange.
what do you
It's
think?
strange to see it that way, though. Do you know that I remember vividly when I was a lot younger, when I was maybe when I can remember, maybe when I was in secondary school, primary school, secondary school, because I was the firstborn, I had many names, and not all those names will make it to the birth certificate, anyways.
True.
But do you know that everybody that gave me a particular name, whenever they saw me, they were calling me their own names. And there was nothing wrong with that.
No,
And that's
which
what
the
this
grandma
grandma
is
is
doing
doing.
anyway. She's doing it,
Exactly.
but she's not angry that her name is now not on the best or not one of the main names. You can't
Because
force.
I'm sure if they had given, because they gave two English names, if they had given one cultured name, maybe she wouldn't be angry, because I think she has her reasons. She's afraid that her grandchildren will lose the connection. That's what that's what is in that dilemma. She's afraid that her grandchildren, by the time they grow up, they will lose connection to their roots. And aren't we experiencing it these days? There are a lot of African Americans that are trying to trace themselves back. Could it be if their parents or their grandparents or their ancestors had kept to their cultural heritage names, it may not have been difficult for them. It may not have been. Now that they have to spend dollars to go and do this DNA ancestry, whatever, to find even just the country, maybe it wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have lost. And we can see what is messing up their identity. And you can see any one of them that could trace their ancestry to any particular. They're going back there now. That should tell us that count for something. That means something.
Yeah, and their
And
comments.
I think that's what the grandmother is trying to. But the truth is, I see the point of the young parents. I get it.
There's been several social studies that show that when you have one CV that has an English name versus another CV that has a cultured name, the English name gets picked over it. So you're right. I see some.
Yes, I get it, but that is because most of us are still thinking as if the only place where the pasture is still green, the only place we must seek for all these things is still in the West. This does not obtain in Africa because we are all thinking.
When I went to Nigeria, I personally experienced people that had lived in Nigeria all their lives. I don't think they had ever lived outside of Nigeria. That first thing you do when you ask me what my name is and say, "Oh, so what's the short version?"
I'm not saying no. I'm talking that one.
You're saying that people are looking for opportunities only in the West, where the Western things are magnified. I'm saying the Western things.
Yes, but that would asking for your short form is not asking you for your English name.
No, they were asking me, "Don't you have an English name?" And I said no. Okay, so what's the short version?
But we know that those are not majority. And yes, they are not majority. And whether we all like it or not, it's still a difficult. It's a wound that is still gradually healing. The fact that mentally, unfortunately, a lot of Africans are still mentally colonized.
Fair enough. And people in the comments.
And that is why we would always prefer whatever that is white color to our color. Anything that it comes from that place. Even the color that is not anyway, we are classifying it as not the real white color. Any color that is not ours, we feel they are superior to ours. But in this dilemma, this dilemma, it's still a case of for the young parents. I think they just need to have a balanced conversation with their grandmother, or yes, with this grandmother. These child parents may not be rejecting culture per se, but they are making, it's like you are making a short-term, a long-term decision, a long-term situation. You are making a short-term decision for something that is long-term. That is what she is saying. And that is what is in this African proverb. The African proverb says, what a parent, an older person, an elderly person is sitting down. You, that young person,
you guys love this quote. Do you love this proverb?
We always see it because that is what experience the millennial, the Gen Z. If you climb the Tower Bridge or the Tower of London, you cannot see it.
Wow.
Absolutely. You cannot see it.
Somebody is saying in the comments, how do you send a question? You can send the question on the chat. We'll be happy to look at the chat and answer your question.
Can you read what this person is saying out?
Yeah, sure. But yes, Tola Jide, please send your question in the chat so that we can all at least contribute. Area Boy Ransom Kuti says, my kids, especially female, will have Yoruba first names and Christian middle names.
Yeah.
Yoruba should stop using foreign names as first names.
I agree with you.
Why the Christian middle name? I'm interested. Why not Yoruba all around? Just out of interest.
No, that is a form. And that is to say that this person is acknowledging the fact of what you said earlier on. You're saying something about maybe those people that are in the West, that the fact that non-English names are discriminated against. That is what I'm hearing. And
Yeah.
if that, so I think that's what Area Boy Ransom Kuti is trying to address. That even with that, he wants to address it with, okay, I'll give my child an English name, but a Yoruba name. Because if the Yoruba name is the first name, that speaks something to that child. That speaks something to the identity of that child. However, I am not going to invalidate the thinking of that millennial, that Gen
Gen Z,
Z.
they're just being practical.
Yes, yes, because of their own experience. But what we are saying is that your experience is not going to be like this forever. Learn from people that have felt the way you felt. And that's the African Americans, that they wanted to so belong because of the history of slavery. They dumped everything that had to do with where they were kidnapped and abducted from. And now they are not spending thousands of dollars to trace their ancestry back to Africa. That tells us it matters. It matters. And so the concern of this grandma that is saying, is she being difficult as a grandparent, that she wants to have her grandchild to have a native first name, even a native middle name, if it is, but though she's saying first name, it makes sense. But at the same time, I'm not, like I said, not I'm not going to invalidate the thinking and the feeling of the young parents, because if they have been in the Western system, they have experienced the discrimination. If you haven't experienced it, you don't know. That grandma possibly has never. But even if she has, she is still thinking of the future. She does not want a situation in which her grandchild someday will feel lost. You don't belong here, you don't belong there. And that's mental confusion. And you don't know where and that's where you start looking for identity. Some people will find it in animals, some people will find it in crazy things. And you would not know it's for something that is just as simple as that. Many African
Somebody
parents,
says in the chat as well, somebody says, Enoch Lade, some Yoruba couples are not normal. Well, I don't know about that.
what does
I
that
will
mean? What it would be nice to what does that mean?
I
Oh,
don't know.
how can you send a question? Just write it on the. Somebody says, how can you just write it on the, and we'll put it up.
So
And
this person said,
mm,
some Yoruba couples are not normal. I will name my female child a Yoruba first name and a Christian middle name. So same thing, or biblical prophet middle name. Okay.
yeah,
Another person says, oh, actually, it's Area Boy around some critique again. Says, you don't see whites naming their kids African names. Why are we SMH? You're very on brand with your name. your name, your name suits your comments very well. So yeah, no, I completely appreciate your point.
but
Although,
isn't it interesting? Did you see what Clade says? Says,
yeah,
I
that was
will
it.
name my female child. What happens to your male child?
Maybe they meant first child because I didn't. I thought I chose to see that as a mistake rather. Because yeah, I'm not sure if you did. You mean
Because
female? Enoch
you
Lade?
cannot.
Did you mean
Said
female?
he said my female child will have Yoruba first name, and even my Yokun Kuti too is the same thing. My female child, except maybe it's a typo. Yeah, first names are
Well, no.
crucial. It should be for
Yeah,
both male and female, not male, not just female. My
yeah.
kids, especially this, will have this. You don't see white names their kids African. Exactly, area boy ransom Kuti. And that was my point in the earlier dilemma. Flip the coin. You don't see the Caucasians name their, even if they do, it is just to them, oh, we want to honor that culture. Maybe they've lived in Africa. Those are the people that will be saying, maybe I'm second generation African or third generation African. They will not. By default, it is their original culture that they go with. And that's why, but at the same time, I'm not going to invalidate, I will still say this, I will not invalidate the young parents, because they've gone through the school system in the West. They've got even some school system that is in the Africa, just like Mololwa you said. They prefer English names because they are still mentally colonized. they prefer English name. Maybe the reason is because of pronunciation. But I think Mololuwa, from your own experience, we now know that anybody can call, if they can call your Mololuwa, anybody can call any name. Because some German names I cannot even sound, but I have to make an attempt. So if they can sound those German names, they can sound any name. And they would have experienced discrimination and maybe sometimes paperwork, as part of paperwork. Some people, that's why they are dropping this. But I also see from the point of that grandma that having two English names are bad.
You have a, or if they have a cultured surname.
But before anybody gets to your surname, they've passed through the first two names now.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if we're just
It
talking
does
about
matter,
identity.
my dear. It does
We're
matter.
talking about
Pain,
what makes you you. Your surname is part of your
if you
introduction.
ask me, I'll feel her pain. Her pain is very real. She's not being dramatic. She's reacting to something that in many African homes is deeply sacred. A name is not just a label. I need us to get this. A name carry the history. Mololwa, you mentioned something that when you have your children, it's likely to be things that are surrounding their birth. That is what a name does. A name carries prayer. It carries your identity. It carries your lineage. It carries story, things around your birth. And it carries memory. So it's not just naming somebody James, something, because that is a name in the Bible. It must carry something. And if you have your own language that you can use, and it's, if anybody hears your Mololua, and you say you are from Nigeria, you don't need to say much. They will tell you you are from Yoruba, you're of Yoruba descendants. That is what we are talking about in names. That's
But
what we are
that
talking
doesn't
about.
matter to everyone. That
Sorry?
doesn't matter for everyone. Not everybody wants everyone to know which part of the world they're from by the name they bear.
They might not know now, but the thing is that by the time you lose it and your children, I'm talking about the African Americans, their descendants that decided to adopt everything that is English, they are no longer here. Who are the people suffering? It's their descendants.
Fair enough.
That's
I think
you need to think beyond
grandma should
yourself.
continue
You
calling the
just need
kid
to think
the
beyond
Nigerian
yourself.
name she's given the kid. You can call the and I don't think the children are opposed to that. I think it'll be different if the children are like, no, you must call the child the name you're given. Although they have every right to do that. But
Yeah, but they are not insisting on that. So
yes, they're
which is
not
fair enough.
insisting. So continue to call your grandchild the
And I
Nigerian
just pray that she lives long enough that the grandchild will grow up to maybe someday ask, grandma, why do you call me this? This is not this. And she'll be able to explain what that name means
yeah.
to her.
Yeah, somebody also said in the chat, they said if they're scared that they might discriminate against them when applying to jobs as an adult, you can put the Christian middle name on the CV, Christian Arabic English. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's a
Exactly.
compromise for people that live in the
Exactly.
West.
That's
I
a good
agree,
compromise.
Maiwa.
That's a good
Thank you for
compromise.
that comment.
I
Yeah,
agree with you, Mayo Watunde. Yes,
yeah.
that's a good compromise. I strongly I also believe. So, do we say she should continue to stand her ground? Because the question is, am I being difficult as a grandparent if I say I want my grandchild to have a native first name? It might be too much from you to be saying you can. This kind of request can be asked wisely, and I want to believe before they have that child, you are likely to have known where your child and his or her spouse they tilt towards. You could have started preparing the ground, encouraging them, teaching them because they might be ignorant. That's why they're doing they're doing what they think is best for their child. It might not really be the best for the future, maybe because of their own experience, and they need to look wider and beyond themselves. So I do not think that you are too difficult, but maybe you should just relax a little bit. Since they allow you to call, anyway, you do not have a choice. Continue to call, but appeal to them, continually let them know that it's important they don't disconnect. And if you continue to preach that, they will know that you are walking your talk, right? They know they know what you actually, it is because of the interest of that child that you
Yeah.
are. So let's wrap it up with the Japada verdict on this particular one. And this is, she's not wrong to feel hurt. She's not wrong for valuing the African name deeply. That is the grammar here. She's also not wrong for fearing cultural loss. No, but she needs to be careful, because fighting for culture in a way that damages the family closeness and relationship may defeat the ultimate purpose, right? And yes, she can keep calling the baby the African name lovingly, not like, yo, you must call it. Mm-mm, let it be lovingly. Yes, she can see keep calling the child its meaning, telling the child the meaning and the history, so that the child understands, and what her fear is will be addressed. Yes, she can stand for the identity, but she should just accept the truth. That is her grandchild. The parents have that responsibility. The birth certificate decision belongs to only the parents, not the grandparents. So this is not a fight. This is not a battle that she should just go about it in a loving manner. I don't know whether you have anything to top that, so that we move to the next one.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, we
Okay, before we go into that one,
Canada, Nigeria, India, Australia. Yes, you. I'm talking to you. Have you subscribed? 80% are watching without subscribing. Should I be begging? Should I go the Nigerian style and go on my knees to say, please? So please subscribe, like, share, and let the conversation continue in the comment section. So let's go back to the video.
so last dilemma for this evening. It says, hi Japada crew, I'm a 35-year-old Nigerian professional working in tech in Europe. It's taken me years to get here. New degree, started from scratch, visa, dealing with being the only Black person in the room, and things are finally stable now. Recently, an organization back home, as in Africa, I don't know where in Africa, but on the continent, it seems. Recently, an organization back home approached me with a big offer. Come back to Nigeria, okay. Come back to Nigeria to lead a new unit and help build something impactful. Honestly, I'm not excited. I've seen and heard way too many stories of people who japada and get cheated because of corruption, politics, unstable systems, and I don't think it's my personal responsibility to go back and rebuild or build the country. I already send money home, support family, give to projects, and use my voice where I can from here. I feel like the government and the people in power should fix their mess. It's not me that made the mess, not the ordinary citizens who have finally found stability elsewhere. My spouse agrees and is very wary of dragging our children into that uncertainty when we have a relatively secure life here. My friends, however, say I'm being selfish and that people like me are exactly who should return. So my dilemma is, am I wrong for refusing to see going back to build as my duty and choosing to prioritize my family's security abroad? How do I handle the guilt and the pressure from friends who think I owe the country my return? For me, I think you've answered the question. You've said you and your wife, partner, spouse, with whom you have children, share the same sentiment. That is the answer. That's the bottom line. You guys are the ones that are going to have to go and face whatever life throws at you there. I don't think personally going off of friends' opinions and advice is what you should now use to base your such a big life decision, especially when children are involved. You and the person that you are raising children with think the same way. I would guess that you have come to that line of thinking based on considering all of the things that your life consists of, including your children, what you think is best for them, what you think is best for your family's dynamic and stability and security and whatever else. If the two people that are the decision makers in the equation have the same view, I don't know that it's for your friend's view to now be the one that comes and overshadows that. That's my verdict.
Honestly, we need to first of all acknowledge that this is one dilemma, very important dilemma that diasporans actually face. Yes, some diasporans face this dilemma. Building stability abroad is not easy.
It's not.
Yeah, many immigrants go through this. Years of uncertainty, visa stress, starting their careers from the scratch when they japa or when they move abroad, working twice as hard as just to prove themselves because of the disparity. There's a lot of catching up. You can see discrimination. So there's a lot of hurdle possibly that this person, this 35-year-old, has passed, which is the reality of most immigrants abroad. Sometimes people forget that immigrants do not land abroad and immediately succeed. It takes time. It takes time. So it's easy for people to say, oh, just come back. After all, you've rose to, yes, the person has risen to that particular level that we cannot call success. But do you know the cost? And yeah, you don't know the cost. And if the person is saying, I'm already I'm helping people at home, that's my enough contribution. I don't think you can appeal, you can encourage, you can let people know. And even the government, because we cannot, nation building is, yes, as much as it is for all citizens, it's a national thing, it's a government thing. Most of the programs that were created in the West, in US, in UK, Australia, Canada, they were intentional because when they need skilled laborers that they know that they have a shortfall, they create this program to attract the skilled ones from Africa. So if our African governments too, or countries, if they are also intentional, they need to create something that will attract the diasporans. The diaspora that has spent years to get to the level that he is, and you think the person, okay, because he has attained that level, the person should just drop whatever and come on. No, it's not that easy. It's not that easy, because even the trauma, do you know there are some people that are still, the trauma of what they went through to get to wherever they are, that they have stabilized, they any attempts to want to move to any other country, including their home country, is still is still traumatizing in their thoughts, because they've gone through a lot. People that are skilled in their homeland, that they had to go and come to start all over again in the West. That is not easy. Sometimes people forget all that. So when someone finally reaches stability and wanting to protect his family and or that stability, so we can easily say the person is maybe selfish. But no, for immigrants, stability is hard-earned survival. It's hard-earned survival. I'm not saying we should remain at that. I'm not saying we should not heal that trauma. But for this particular person, especially when his partner is not of the same mindset of what is being suggested to him, it's tricky. Because this decision is not about just him. It is not like we are in Africa that a man will just make the decision. The wife and the children, they don't have a choice. No, it's not like that in the West. It is not. Human, everybody is seen as full human being, and you must take them into consideration. The Western society is not as patriarchal as the African society, that you say, oh, once the oga, goes, everybody goes. No, it's not like that. And that's why I can see what this guy is talking about. Parents have to consider the schooling of their children. They have to consider healthcare. They have to consider safety. They have to consider the lack or presence of infrastructure. And they also have to consider economic stability. To make that kind of, it's a big decision to make. I don't know what people are saying in the comments section. It's a big decision to make. This pressure for just come back home. Come back home. There's so much that you can do this. I know. I'm not saying it is not. The patriotic argument is there, which is let's be honest about other side too. Because wherever we are, some people made it good. That's why you're enjoying the benefits. And that's the truth.
I think for me, the only other thoughts I can throw in the ring, again, I do think the decision has been made based on you and your partner, but the only thoughts I can throw in the ring just to say, have you considered, is if it's a role that, you know, treats you as an expatriate or basically gives you the luxury of having the same, if not a better lifestyle as what you have in wherever you currently are in Nigeria. Is it a role that if can you build your life basically there, replicate your life there, enhance your life actually there? And I can speak for Nigeria. A place like Nigeria is one where labor is much cheaper than it is here. And so it could be a consideration that, okay, you could be able to hire people to do all the things you do for yourself here. And that could increase your quality of life. That might be something you might want to consider. You might also want to consider if it's a role that allows you to go back and forth. Is it a role where you can travel easily, whether that's funded by the company or by yourself? Like, is it something that is facilitated travel in case you wanted to maybe leave your family for a while for the beginning after you settle? Can you come and go regularly, easily? There are some things that you can consider as the midway points as to how you can make it work if you want it. Or if you think, actually, this might be of greater benefit to me than my current lifestyle offers, my current job offers. I say this to say that let's not stick with the stereotypes that, going to Nigeria is just wild because the life they live on the streets and they lie on the streets. I think you should seriously, consider Nigeria for what it is now. And, I'm doing many things, the city that you're going to be based in, do your research.
Yeah.
And you might be able to find that actually quality of life might be enhanced much more than you think. That's personally my dream. My dream is to be bi-coastal. And I think, especially if you're earning foreign currency, I would implore you to consider living in Nigeria because
you get more for your
you'll probably live a very, very, very decent quality of life in comparison to if you're earning that same thing and living in the West. So those are my 2 cents. But please consider it. Think about it with your partner. Don't let your friends pressure you there because they're not the ones that are going to have to suffer or experience whatever it is that you're going to have to experience by making the move. So consider it.
If the offer is juicy enough for you to consider, you might consider a short-term, trial first. Just as Molelo just said, maybe go for 1 year, maybe have a 1-year contract and see how it is, whether it's something that you want to stay. Because the truth about the patriotism argument here is there's this argument that countries develop when their brightest minds actually return home.
I know, but look.
No, I'm just saying, I'm just supporting your argument if he's even considering it. Because the truth is, but he has said something like, he does not feel it's his own responsibility to do national, which is true. That's why I said, even the country where he is, they intentionally created whatever program that attracted him from Africa to be staying where he is. That's the truth. So there must be intentionality from the government. There must be, it's because they plan. That's why you have it. People going to the West is because the West needs labor. That's the truth. They need labor. That's why they attract us from Africa. And that's why it appears there is brain drain. They wait for you to groom them to a point and they attract them. So there should, if we want to encourage reverse or nation building or continent building in Africa, all the African governments must be serious and be intentional about that. Because issues show that many nations benefited from diaspora professionals returning. India is a good example. We still have many of them, but they are good. That country is a good example. They will return with the knowledge, they return with capital. He says he's remitting, but I don't know. Capital is you actually setting up something and growing that thing there. You don't have to live there, because we have a lot of expatriates in Nigeria that's on their permanent base. They come from abroad and they're doing business in Nigeria. Why can't you be that person too and get the benefit of the two worlds?
There you go. That's something for you to think about. So
Yeah.
do think about it, and it'll be good to hear if anybody else has had a similar experience. If anyone knows anyone that has had a similar experience, if anyone else has moved back to the continent for work, how was it for you? How did you find the transition? What made you make the decision? And do you feel like it was a worthwhile decision to make? It'd be really, really good to hear your thoughts and comments on that. But I do think that, we've covered quite a few different situations and quite a few different grounds this evening. And it's been nice to have your comments and, this conversation as well. I think it will be cool to see if you guys want us to do this more. If you do, let us. If you want us to do more lives, let us know.
And also, if you want us to always we can bring you on so that you have your say, in some of the dilemmas. If there's anybody that, let us know in the comment section how you want this. This is the first for us. This is, so we want you community members. We want to tickle your brain. Yeah, so please. And let's know wherever you're joining us from. Anytime when maybe you're watching after this live stream, let's know where you're joining
Still
us
leave
from.
your comments. We'll still love to read them. But thank you so much for listening to us, for chatting with us this evening. We hope you have a wonderful week ahead. And we will see you next time. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.
Teaching you how to Japada in style. Teaching you how to Japada in style.